I got my over-unders. Let's go ahead and dive into the over-unders. Reed, let me know. Jahmyr Gibbs, 850 rushing yards this season. You like the over or the under on that?
Yeah, I'm taking over on the rushing yards for it. I think he can get a few games where he sneaks away with a few, 80 plus rushing yard games. So I think he can get the over on that one.
I'm gonna go with the under, not because I don't think he's capable of doing it, but I think he'll have a lot of big plays, explosive plays. But when they get down inside that 20, David Montgomery time, like they did, kind of how they used Jamal Williams last year. So I think he'll be more of a receiving. I say 700 receiving yards, 700 rushing yards. So we'll have over 1,000 all-purpose yards, maybe 7-8 touchdowns. But I expect a big year from the rookie, man. I do.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go under on the 850 as well because they're gonna be using him in the passing game. He might even be returning some punts. He's gonna be a Swiss Army knife. He's gonna be all over the place. And then like you said, goal line, short yardage. They're more so gonna put Montgomery in. It's gonna be a two-headed monster at running back. So I think that's gonna take away from some of his running touches. So I'm gonna go under 850 on that as well.
I just think they're going to go on some sort of jet sweep or some sort of toss behind, and he's just going to break a few maybe once. That's my only thought. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not just saying he's going to get 1,000. He can get like 855. But I think it's going to be over. I think it's going to be like 870.
Okay. I mean, we'll see at the end of the season. We'll see
more in the running game than people think. That's my thought. I think he's going to be used more in the running game than people think. People see David Montgomery, and I think David Montgomery will be used a lot. But I don't think people. Jahmyr Gibbs was used in the tackles too, and he was in Alabama, so I think he'll be used more and more rushing plays than people think.
Yeah, I think people don't even realize that Alabama didn't use him a lot. He didn't even rush for 1,000 yards at Alabama, which he should have. I don't think Nick Saban gave him the ball a lot when he was there. I don't think they utilized him properly, but I know the Lions will definitely utilize him properly. And one thing to note is David Montgomery's had like injury history, so that's one thing that we gotta watch for. Hopefully, he stays healthy for the most part during the season because they're definitely gonna need him.
So, do you guys see Jahmyr Gibbs being the starter by the end of the year?
I think he comes out the starter.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, now we're talking about running backs. It's kind of hard because most teams that are really successful have a two-headed monster attack. So this is the reason why they don't want to pay running back. So.
He's not going to be Derrick Henry, that many crazy touches. But I mean, you can't really define a starter. I mean, I guess you would do it by who gets more touches at the end of the year. But I think they're both going to technically be starters when it comes down to it.
Right. Shout out E in the building. Appreciate you for tuning in. Shout out Jaleel. Jaleel said, I'll be tuning in next time, fellas. Good show, but back to work.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you, Jaleel. All right, back to the over-unders. Adrian, let me know. Aiden Hutchinson had 9.5 sacks last year. So 13.5 sacks for Aiden Hutchinson this year. You like the over or the under?
I'm gonna go under right at 13. That was my sweet spot. It was between 12 and 13. So I'll say under, but slightly. I'll give him 13 sacks on the year.
I'm right there with him about 12.5. Where I put him at. I think James Houston coming back is going to be. I think people. I mean, I don't know how good he'll be. He had 8.5. James Houston had 8.5 last year. So they put him in. They rush them both. They take out Houston, and Hutchinson gets a sack, or vice versa. So 13.5 is a lot though for the second year. I think it's just under 12.5.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. Clean sweep here. I'm going to go with the under as well. I'm going to give him about 12.5, 13, 9.5 last year. There's some other dogs on that D-line that they're expecting to step up. Pascal, the second rounder out of, what was that, Kentucky, I believe?
Yep.
They can look for him to do big things, like I said, Houston. So, I'm going to give Hutch about 12.5, 13 sacks. I'm going to go with the under on that. All right. Reed, let me know. Jared Goff had 29 touchdown passes last year. That was six in the league. So 31 touchdown passes for Jared Goff this year. Reed, you like the over or the under?
I like the over. I think but it'll be just there 30, 31, 32. I might push, but it's I I mean, you would expect them to throw more. They got Gibbs. I know the wide receiver room is shallow, but St. Brown, you have to imagine, is probably going to get eight to those touchdowns. Maybe Gibbs will probably receive a few touchdowns. Laporta, they brought him in to be an offensive pass catching tight end. They have a few other pass catching tight ends they can use. You got to expect Marvin Jones to get a few deep ball catches he is known to get. J-Mo's going to come back at week 7. Can Goff push the ball downfield to J-Mo? We've seen it once, maybe. But I think he can get there. I think he can get 31, 32 this year, especially in Ben Johnson's offense. They're going to be passing a lot.
Man, this one's probably the hardest one you done gave me, Raj.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's tough, man. I'm going to say under, but I'll say he hits 30. But my biggest thing is that J-Mo's not playing for 6 weeks. So I think that was your deep ball threat. I know Marvin's been good. He's getting a little older. They're going to be all over St. Brown. Unless Laporta has 6-7 touchdowns, I see it slightly under. I'm going to give Goff slightly under, just slightly, but just missed it. But I think he'll still have a good year. Very, very similar to last year's numbers. He has to if they want to be in the playoffs this year. So,
yeah, for sure. I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna give him 32. I'm gonna give him 32. Jahmyr Gibbs he's gonna be catching a lot of passes. By the time Jameson comes back, he's gonna be fresh. You know, obviously St. Brown's gonna get his targets. You know, we're expecting a big year from Goff in that offense this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and give him the over on that one. I'll give him the over. Not by much though. I'm borderline. I kind of want to push it out.
That's what I'm saying. Which was what I was thinking, but I can see 32. I mean, last year he probably would have had a few more if DeAndre Swift was a little bit faster, but he got caught in a lot of open field chase down. So I could see it happening, man. I think the team's offense is upgraded slightly. The only thing I would have liked to see before they started this is maybe bring in another wide receiver since they lost J-Mo this week. But I still think this offense can cause enough noise for him to get 30 plus. 31 plus.
Yeah. All right. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 1,161 receiving yards last year. So, Adrian, 1,200 receiving yards from Amon-Ra this year. You like the over or the under on that?
that's over. I'm hitting that out. I'm hitting that out the park like a grand slam, man. He's gonna get the share of the targets. Even if he doesn't, he's gonna eat. Justin Jefferson, I believe, got like 160 targets last year. I see Jared Goff the first 6 games just throwing the ball. I expect him to have a couple games where he has at least 10 catches. So it's gonna be easy because they can move him around. They can put him in the slot outside. He's strong. They throw him on reverses. They'll figure out ways to get him the ball. Ben Johnson is very creative. So I think easy money in Vegas if you want to hit the over on that, man.
Yeah, I'm with Adrian right there. I think he'll go. I think he'll actually probably beat that pretty handsomely. I think he can go over. I think he can go 1,300 almost with how much they're going to have to feed him. Maybe Gibbs dips into that a little bit, but yeah, he's just going to be a target mod for Goff. That's a guy. I mean, as a fantasy guy, that's something that I would like to get. I haven't been in a position to be able to grab him in a few of my leagues, but if you're playing a PPR league and you can get like Stephon Diggs in the first round and St. Brown second round, I think you'll be money. I think that guy's going to catch, I don't know, 4 to 6 passes a game possibly. I mean, he's just going to be fed. I feel like it's not throwing to the ball.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go with the over on that as well. He's going to have a big year. He's the number 1 target. J-Mo suspended. Goff's going to be leaning on him a lot. He'll be looking for him to make plays. He's hungry. He's a great route runner. He works hard at his craft. Yeah, I'm gonna give him the over. Barring as long as he can stay healthy, he's gonna hit the over 1,200 for sure. All right, I got 2 more here. All right, Tracy Walker's returning. Reed, we got Tracy Walker returning. 2.5 interceptions for Tracy Walker. You like the over or the under on that?
Over.
I think. Yeah, my thing about Tracy is he doesn't have good hands for a safety. And then you got guys like Gardner Johnson and Kirby who are hawking safeties. I just don't know how much he's gonna be in for that. I'm gonna say under. I don't think he's gonna get there. I don't think he'll get to 2.5.
I say two. Well, you got Gardner Johnson, you got Brian Branch, the other rookie who they say has been having a phenomenal camp. Kirby, like I said, was good last year. I say he gets two exactly. Because they'll be able to they'll be able to find a way to get all them guys on the field. Maybe not at the same time, but find a way to rotate them and keep everybody fresh. Because I think the corner depth is not as deep as safety group is.
Rumor has it that Branch is supposed to be playing nickel corner, so I don't know if that's going to be the case, but
yeah,
that way you would get them all on the field. I don't know, man. Kirby, I just think I honestly think Trey Walker might get traded by the end of the year, but because how good Kirby played last year. Now that's going on if Kirby's going to play as good as he did, and if Tracy stays healthy. But I don't know. The safety room is like a little slow. Malafon was never healthy, but. I don't know. I think Tracy could possibly be a trade if they want to go after something. I don't know what it would be, but
maybe a receiver.
There you go. He's under contract too. They just signed him right before he tore his Achilles, so we'll see if he can get his value back up. But I think they definitely need some receiver up and some corner. So we'll definitely find out coming into this season.
I have a scenario for you guys after this last over under. I'll give it to you for the Lions.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I was going to go under on that one. I was going to give him 2 interceptions as well. I don't think he was going to go over. All right, it's my last over under right here. I throw it at you, Adrian. Marvin Jones, 800 receiving yards for Marvin Jones. You like the over or the under on that?
I gotta go under. I know Marvin had a good year in Jacksonville last year, helping Trevor Lawrence finally reach what we believe it will be his full potential for that Jacksonville Jaguars team, who's loaded. Like the big season from them. I think under. I say we'll have about 700, maybe 6 touchdowns. Marvin's good for a game or two in the season to help the team out, but he's getting a little older up there in age. I feel like he'll be good. He could be a good number 3 for you. Get you 700, maybe like 45 catches, 700 yards, and 4 or 5 touchdowns. So I'm gonna go under though.
Is it 850?
800.
800.
Yeah.
Given his last 5 seasons, he hasn't gone over 800. He's only gone over 800 twice. That was his last year with the Lions, and then 2021 when the Jags had no help. Granted, this is a weak wide receiver room. I'm still going under. I don't think he's going to get there. I think he'll get 650, 700 maybe, just because James was going to be out for 6 weeks. People also forgetting about Josh Reynolds. I mean, that's Goff's guy in LA. It was even when Kyle was his guy last year, other than St. Brown. But I wouldn't take that. I think he's getting too old.
Yeah, I mean, Goff's going to be leaning. I think he's going to be dependent on the vet a little bit with no Jameson these first couple weeks. And if St. Brown's getting double teamed, if they're trying to scheme him out of the game, he is going to need Marvin. But I'm not going to give him the over on the 800. I think he gets about anywhere from 7 to 750. So I think he'll come close to it. But I'm going to give him the under on that as well. For sure. Reed, what you were saying? You said you had something to add in there?
Yeah, so speaking of wide receiver rooms, so there's guys – I was thinking of guys Lions could target. And I was thinking of teams that were maybe rebuilding or teams that had guys that were coming to the end of contract. I thought of kind of the perfect guy who's younger and a team that's kind of rebuilding and in a situation with their running back that – may not ever get figured out. What about calling up the Colts and seeing if you could send a second pick for Michael Pittman? You think they would take that?
I don't think they would take that because they're still trying to figure out what they're going to do with Jonathan Taylor. And I just right now, if you were smart, well, I don't know if it's Chris Ballard's choice or if he has the final say so because Jim Irsay does know what he's doing. I don't think they trade him, especially for a young quarterback like Anthony Richardson, trying to build his confidence up. But you could give it a shot, but maybe.
The only thing I thought about with it,
I don't think the Colts are going to come off him. I think they want to keep Richardson. They want to keep the weapons around and give him as much as possible.
Well, they have Downs they like, but my thought about it was if you can maybe get him for a second round pick, there's a lot of wide receivers. It's a heavy offensive draft this year coming up. The Colts, I don't think, are going to win more than 4 games. So they could get a guy like Emeka Egbuka or Keon Coleman or that wide receiver out of Texas. There's a lot of guys in the first round. So maybe they could use that, second round pick that you get to trade up. I don't know. I was thinking that you need a guy. He's a target. And then the other guy I thought about, which then I remembered I have a human brain and would never want to take him, is Michael Thomas. But he's old. He's not worth going after from the Saints. He hasn't been healthy in 2 years.
I will say real quick, Michael Pittman Jr. does remind me of Marvin Jones in a way, like a younger Marvin Jones, about the same, a little taller, about the same body size, not like superly fast, but really big targets you can throw the ball to. So I could definitely see that working if the Lions can somehow figure to make that work. But it all really what it's gonna. Oh my bad, Reed. Go ahead.
What I was thinking of with him is like you're saying he's a bigger body, 6'4", 210 or something like that. He's pretty big. St. Brown in the slot, J-Mo downfield, and then Pittman kind of can just play all over. So I think it would be worth picking up the phone, giving a call.
Why not? I mean, I think it's a big call, but I mean, this is a big year for J-Mo, man. Like when he comes back from the suspension, he got to be buttoned up. He's got to be cleaned up, man. He's got to show that he has a pulse and can play football, because him missing last year, most of the season was big, and then him getting a stupid suspension for not following the rules. It's a stupid rule in the NFL, but he's costing himself developmental opportunities and to have a big season. So the Lions are expecting a lot from him once he comes back, and he did actually hurt his hamstring, though. They said right before camp was over with. So this will give him time to get the hamstring right, get healthy, and come in and ready to play.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, yeah, we're going to close it out with our Super Bowl predictions. So I'll go ahead and get it started. In the NFC, I got the Cowboys and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. I think the Cowboys finally get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl this year. And then in the AFC, I got the Ravens and the Chargers in the AFC Championship game. I like the Ravens winning that. So I got a Super Bowl of the Ravens and the Cowboys. And I got the Ravens winning it all. I think Lamar Jackson wins his first ring this year.
He's going big.
Super Bowl, I'm sorry. Adrian?
All right, for me, to beat the boss, you got to beat the boss. I'm going to start in the AFC first. I'm going to go out to the AFC, and I'm going to say Kansas City versus the Los Angeles Chargers in the AFC Championship game. Kansas City reigns supreme and gets back to the Super Bowl again. Out of the NFC, I'm going with the rematch between Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers, and it's going to be a rematch of last year's Super Bowl between Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, and I will have Philadelphia Eagles capturing another Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts winning MVP.
I would say my AFC, I don't think the Chiefs are going to have any problem getting back there. I think it's going to be a little shaky with the Chris Jones thing, but I still think that they'll come back and they'll figure. So I think it's going to be Chiefs, and I'm going to throw a surprise out there for you boys that might shock you, and I'm going to say Broncos.
The Denver Broncos?
Yeah, I think Sean Payton's going to put that thing back together. I think people are forgetting about. I think people are forgetting about how good Sean Payton was. I think people forget how bad Staley is in Vegas, wherever the heck that team is that's travel halfway across the world. I don't think Staley's going to get him over the hump. I honestly think he gets fired after this season, and that's where Ben Johnson goes next season. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. And then the NFC, I think the Eagles and I didn't want to say the 49ers after remembering it's going to be Brock Purdy, but that defense is too good. So I think it's going to be Eagles, 49ers. And I think the Chiefs and the Eagles are going to go at it again in the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles win this time, though.
Man. Okay, you guys got the same exact Super Bowl.
Sure.